Hey, I'm Josh with Smiley Electric. Wanted to talk to you about something serious today, knob and tube wiring. What is knob and tube wiring and why should you consider an upgrade? I'm going to give you a little bit of a history lesson. If you own a home in Portland, usually in one of the historical districts, if your home was built in the early 90s, they're super cool. The architecture is amazing. They're very classy. They stand out. It's kind of you know, a defining characteristic of an older neighborhood. With an old home comes older things like older wiring. Knob and tube wiring, it was a system that was commonly installed between 1880s and 1930s in Portland, Oregon. And it may have served your home well in the past, and you're like, hey, my house looks great, just moving in, or maybe you've lived there a super long time and you haven't had any issues. But modern electrical demands, those are huge safety concerns, and replacing knob and tube might be a smart investment. Why? Well, knob and tube, it's just one single insulated wire. So you've got a copper wire and it's inside of usually like a cloth wrapping, and you'll have one wire that passes through a piece of porcelain that actually is the knob part, and then it wraps around and it goes off into different directions of your home. And you'll have one wire that's a hot wire, one wire that's a neutral wire, and oftentimes soldering was used, or even black tape to kind of conceal those solders. And after a while, and there's only a hot and a neutral, so there's no ground. Oftentimes you'll have a two-prong outlet in your home, and so that's called an ungrounded outlet. So if you just had a recent home inspection, your inspector is going to call this stuff out, and he's going to say, hey, this needs to be replaced, or hey, have a qualified electrician take a look at it. So knob and tube, when it was designed, you have to think back to the 1880s and 1930s. They didn't have dishwashers. They didn't have refrigerators like we do today. They didn't have microwaves and coffee pots, vacuum cleaners, all these different items. And a lot of times the knob and tube, they will take several rooms and put them on one breaker or one fuse. And trying to use a kitchen that's got several appliances that need to be plugged in, the knob and tube is not going to hold up very well. It's not going to perform well. And when I say perform, what does that mean? Well, it's going to overheat the wires. It could be a safety concern, causing a fire in the attic, in the wall. It could even break. The wire could break, and nothing happens. The breaker doesn't turn off. It just suddenly goes dead. Or you might notice that your outlets don't seem to be operating properly. You're constantly having to buy adapters to plug different things in your home. And so that's one safety aspect of it. The other thing is oftentimes insurance companies will ask you to clean it up, to remove it, to get new wiring installed. Having insulation on top of knob and tube can be a huge concern for insurance companies. It should be a huge concern for you as a homeowner. That could cause your home to burn down. And knob and tube, it's electrical. It does give signs that it's giving up. It's at the end of its life. And I mean, depending on when your house is built, we're 100 years, into that installation, and it's time for it to get replaced. So we've gone over the limited functionality of the knob and tube wiring. What benefit is it for you, so that replacing this wire, what is it going to do? Well, replacing knob and tube wiring in your home will allow you to freely use modern appliances. You're going to have the three-prong outlets that are grounded, so you'll be able to plug in whatever you want to the outlets and have things work. With our company, we split the rooms up on different circuits, so if you had 3 rooms that were all in one circuit, we would change that so that each room is operating efficiently. A big concern is usually kitchens, dining rooms, bedrooms too, and also getting in smoke detectors in that place so that you're able to live in a modern, we'll call it a retrofit. a retrofitted house, right? Everything on the outside looks classy and like it did when the house was built, but you're going to have that upgraded wiring and convenience, so that your house is safe, your loved ones are safe, and you're going to pass all of your inspections, no problem with electrical codes. What does something like that cost? Well, to get into the cost, you have to understand that the knob and tube wiring runs inside of the walls, between studs, up into the ceilings to light fixtures, down to outlets, and all the way back to the panel. So what we like to do, well, not what we like to do, what we have to do is we have to cut drywall, or lath and plaster is usually what's used, to get to that knob and tube, to deactivate it, to eliminate it from every single outlet, switch, and light. And we do that all the way back to the panel. Yeah, there's going to be some drywall that's involved, or lath and plaster, I should say, that's involved in cutting. But once that is done, we can pull in all of our new wire. We've done this a bunch of times, and so we've developed a system that helps us to keep the home clean, to work in sections in the house, so that even if you're living there, the process, we try to keep it as uninvasive, if that is a word, as possible. Because living in a property, you don't want to move out, but it's a lot of work. Typically, a project like this takes anywhere from 3 to 5 weeks to complete, depending on the size of your home, and depending on the upgrades that you'd like to do as well. Please give us a call. We would love to give you a remote quote and then schedule a time to come out and take a look at your project to see if it's something that you're interested in doing. Knob and tube wiring, while it has served its purpose, it's time to upgrade, time to retrofit your house. Keep smiling.